Well, I did want to just pivot to something else, Madam Speaker, and that's something that we've been seeing coming out of the Conservative benches in the last couple weeks. In particular, we saw a speech that the Leader of the Opposition was giving about, legislation and criminal legislation, and he made a point of saying that he will use every tool at his resource to impose his laws.
His laws.
His laws. As if he's the supreme leader and he's the end of all. You just use the notwithstanding clause and you can just bring in whatever laws you want. It's as easy as that. Something, by the way, Madam Speaker, that has never been done by the federal government since we've had our Charter of Rights. And it's very, very alarming when the Leader of the Opposition starts making these claims. Because what he's basically doing is he's saying, yeah, I have an idea, I have a law, this is the way the law is going to be, and I'm going to impose it, and if you got a problem with it, you can vote me out in a number of years later on, regardless of the fact that it might not be constitutional. I mean, what is the point in even having a constitution, Madam Speaker, if you don't believe in protecting minority rights? Because a constitution is about protecting minority rights. Well, I have an answer to why Conservatives are acting like this. Because in my opinion, Madam Speaker, Conservatives don't care about the Constitution. And that's, Madam Speaker, because these Conservatives are just a reincarnation of the old Reform Party. The Brian Mulroney Conservatives are gone. Flora MacDonald, who came from my riding, a progressive Conservative, would not even recognize what she's seeing over there right now. This is the Reform Party, the former Reform Party of Canada. And as we know, they were never in favor of the Constitution.
That's right.
Stephen Harper, actually, here. Okay, so good. Okay. Well, they're being honest. And this is the first time that I have accused the Conservative Party of being the former Reform Party. I've said this many times in the House, but now they're actually applauding it. So I respect, in all honesty, I respect their honesty on the matter. I respect where Conservatives are coming from. I respect that they're being honest about it, and I mean that genuinely. So they're the Reform Party. They don't believe in the Constitution. And that's just the way that it is. And so what we have is we have the Leader of the Opposition who's routinely dangling the opportunity or suggesting I will use the notwithstanding clause as I see fit to ensure that all the laws that I think of the land that should be subject to the land shall be there. We have a constitution for a reason, Madam Speaker, and that reason is to protect minorities and to protect the rights of minorities. That was the whole intent of it. You know, the member, and you know, in fairness, I respect the fact that they're so open about it, because the member from Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lake said on Friday, he said, let's just be clear. We will only use the notwithstanding clause when it comes to using it for the purposes of criminal justice. Interesting. That sounds reasonable, doesn't it? At least to the layperson. But let's just think about what he's saying. He's saying, as it relates to criminal matters, we are open and willing to use the notwithstanding clause. If this Reform Party had the same approach in the 1990s, they could have used that notwithstanding clause when the Supreme Court overturned the criminal offense of performing an abortion. So what we're talking about here, Madam Speaker, is we're talking about the Conservative Party of Canada literally starting to talk about restricting and removing rights of Canadians. This issue matters to me, Madam Speaker. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I want to make sure that my daughter grows up in the world with the same rights that her mother had. I can't believe that we are even having this discussion about rolling back a woman's right to choose. The member from Peace River Westlock today presented on behalf of his constituents said that he wanted to roll back the charter decision and ask the government to bring in more restrictive more restrictive measures for individuals who are trying to exercise, and in particular women who are trying to exercise their right to choose. We are entering very dangerous territory with this rhetoric. I know where their political angle is. They think, well, the average person won't know what the notwithstanding clause is or what it means or what the implications are, so it really doesn't matter. We will just sound good in what we're saying and people will believe us. And you know what? I'm not going to weigh in on whether or not I believe that to be right or wrong, but I will say that even just using that language and going down that road of being willing to to treat people in a manner in which you can make sure that you can do things because they're not going to be paying attention is extremely dangerous. And that's what we're seeing. It cannot be a coincidence, Madam Speaker, that literally while in the United States of America, almost a year ago to the day, when Roe v. Wade was overturned, that suddenly conservatives are feeling empowered and emboldened to start having these discussions now. You would not have heard that come from conservatives a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Stephen Harper intentionally avoided talking about it because he didn't want to come anywhere near the matter, even though he may have had his own personal opinions on the Constitution. He never went near it because he knew it wasn't smart to do so. Right. What this leader of the opposition is doing is he is looking at the opportunities in the States, parroting the alt-right MAGA Republican politics of the States, and trying to utilize those exact same talking points and those exact same way of operating in Canada. And Madam Speaker, I will commit to any and every Canadian that's watching this, and indeed in Canada, that I will do everything that I personally can to ensure that the Constitution and the Charter of Rights continues to be something that means something and continues to be something that they can rely on to protect the rights of minorities in this country. Right on. Thank you, Madam Speaker.